Good evening. It's about 11:30 at night. We are about 20 miles outside of Idaho Falls, Idaho. I have to be in Greeley, Colorado in the morning. Well, I got till noon to be there. I should be there by 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. I haven't been out this way in a long time, out Highway 26 over into Wyoming, over in the Alpine, and then you cut, get on 191 and whatever, turn south toward Rock Springs, toward the interstate. Yeah, it's been a minute. But the weather's supposed to be good through the mountains here, so we'll see what happens. You know, it's funny, I was just thinking, back in the day, we drove totally blind, right? There was no, well, let me check the weather on my phone before I leave. There was none of that. You just relied on what the guy coming the other way told you on the CB. I mean, you could get the local weather on the radio, but didn't tell you what was going on 200-300 miles ahead of you. I know there's supposed to be some wind up here in Laramie, and I don't have a lot of weight on, so I'm hoping the wind's not too bad. You know, it's nice not having a heavy load in the way because of the hills and such, but really going across Wyoming, you really want a nice heavy load. Flag at that rest area. It looks like we might have a pretty good south wind blowing, which is probably why it's 38 degrees at 11 o'clock at night in Idaho in December. And we had freezing fog down at the house the other day, I guess yesterday morning. But not around here. I loaded at some little meat packing place here in Idaho Falls. I say little, it was good size. I mean, they only have like 5 docks, but it's a good size build, a good size plant. Nice people. Mostly all Hispanic, but nice people. So I see where Transportation Secretary is going to talking about putting ice, stationing some ICE officers at some way stations. I'm all for it, you know. I mean, look, this problem didn't start overnight, but we have to fix it ASAP. I'm going to say something else controversial. I see a lot of guys on social media post pictures of truck accidents, truck drivers doing stupid things, and somebody says, "Oh, you know, what country was that guy from?" You know, "Oh, another one of the guys with the towel on his head," or whatever. Look, let me tell you something. Americans do stupid things too, okay? It's not just those guys. Now, these horrific accidents that we've seen lately, yeah, it's mostly those guys. But just your random, everyday, boneheaded things that people do, I mean, we're not immune to doing boneheaded things in this country. I saw a video of some guy that some guy posted of a guy going down the road with a fuel nozzle in his tank. He took off with it and it broke. You know, those things are made to come apart if somebody forgets to hang them up. And so the nozzle was sitting in his tank while he's going down the road, and you know, a bunch of guys, "Oh, you know, one of those sandal wearing guys with the towel on his head," and blah blah blah, which we don't know. It's just a truck going down the road. And I'm thinking, dude, people have been doing that probably since they invented fuel pumps. That's why they make these hoses to where they'll come apart, but they won't spew out a bunch of fuel. They'll come apart and then they'll seal off right there. Because people have been doing that for years, man. You get in a hurry. It's called getting in too big of a hurry. Have I done it? No. But I've seen guys do it. Am I immune from doing it? Also no. Because I'm a human being. It happens. And you can get rid of every foreign driver in the United States, and it's still going to happen. I'll tell you one thing I haven't. I've left fuel caps off on my truck before. I did that not too long ago. Now, luckily, it stayed. You know, I didn't lose it completely. I did it once in Alaska, and I lost it completely. It was like minus 40 outside. I'm like, well, that's great. That's all I need is to freeze my diesel. So I put a towel over it and then taped around it till I could get over to the Kenworth dealership and get another fuel cap. That was $120 for a fuel cap. $120. So yeah, I'm not going to do that again. But I might. Why? Because I'm human. And it happens. And to all the perfect drivers out there on social media, something like that's going to happen to you. Maybe not the exact same thing, but something's going to happen like that to you. You're going to forget to take your airlines off when you drop a trailer. You're going to leave a fuel cap off. God forbid you're going to drive away from the fuel islands with the nozzle still in one tank. You're going to do something boneheaded. You're going to drop a trailer. Something. Why? Because you're a human. And that's what we do. Well, that's a good little place to park there along the side. Nice big gravel area. I used to like to drive at night. I mean, I still like to drive at night. But I used to like to drive at night because it was more peaceful. You know? I could cover more miles overnight than I could during the day as well. Today, I mean, yeah, this road's pretty empty now. These back roads can still be pretty empty, but There's a lot of areas today the traffic just doesn't stop, man. Just doesn't stop. We used to run these back roads back in the day with the road map sitting on our lap. Then at night, you know, you're turning the light on trying to see the little squiggly lines on the map. Probably why my eyes are bad today. And hope you don't make a wrong turn somewhere at 2 o'clock in the morning. End up in somebody's driveway or, you know, in the middle of some ski resort somewhere or something crazy like that. I don't know, man. I don't know what this industry is going to do, you know. It's not just here. Australia's having issues. I don't know about Europe. I know Europe's, you know, not knowing what they're going to do as far as the next generation of drivers, because it's like anywhere else. It's hard to find people to do this job. And anyway, I did a rant about that earlier. I'm not going to go into it again. I gave my reasons. See the previous video. I gave my reasons why. In my not so humble opinion. Absolutely no moon out tonight. It is pitch black. %, 2 miles. That's not bad. Years, or up through this way in years. We used to go down south of Pocatello and then cut across 30 into Wyoming that way. It's a pretty popular way to go. You get quite a bit of traffic on that road sometimes. That's where a lot of guys go. This way's shorter. Not supposed to be any weather through the mountains tonight, so why not? that building back there was it. I don't know. There's probably some houses scattered around somewhere. Snake River. I remember when I was a kid, Evel Knievel jumped the Snake River. That was back toward Twin Falls, I think, though. I don't really remember. It seems to me it was right back there toward Twin Falls. And now we're going to twist and turn through the mountains. Pull-out spot. Some kind of civilization up here ahead of us. A lot of guys don't like these two-lane roads. I have no problem with them, as long as they're in decent shape. always do the speed limit through these little towns. You never know. They got a cop on duty. And that's easy revenue. As we used to say, don't feed the bears. You always wonder how these people in these little isolated communities make a living. Like, I'm sure a lot of them work in like the local stores, and maybe some of them have farms, ranches. You know, like where I live, we have people that live in town, but they have a ranch. But they don't live on the ranch. They usually have a ranch manager, foreman or something, who might stay out there. Everybody got their Christmas lights out. In the big city of Irwin. $219 people. Little Moose Lodge. Huh. port of entry is too. I wonder if it's going to be open tonight. That one down on 30, it's usually always open. I don't know about this one. This road's not near as busy. I'm not worried about it. I'm definitely not overweight. Definitely don't have any logbook issues. I got popped down there on 31 night by the lady who used to work overnight. Her and her husband used to both work at that scale. I used to go through there all the time, so I got to know them. She didn't give me a ticket. She just let me know that she knew, because she could go on the computer and see when I entered the port of entry back on the east side of the state. And according to my logbook, I was in the sleeper. So she said, I'm just letting you know, we know when you entered the state. Because back then you had to stop and go inside, tell them what you were hauling, and they'd give you a little slip. They'd print out a little slip. They don't do that much anymore. But anyway, yeah, she was nice about it. Like I said, she didn't give me a ticket or anything. She just wanted to let me know that she knew. And I need to be careful of that. I said, okay, thank you. I'm sure I was running up to Seattle or Portland or somewhere. Her and her husband, she'd work nights, and sometimes he would work nights over there. He was the supervisor of that scale back then. And they would both talk your head off. You'd go in there, and you might be in there for 20, 30 minutes because they're just having a random conversation with you. Because they get bored, I guess. It's not like you're down on I-80 where you got so much traffic. I mean, 30's busier than this road, but it's still not, 1, 2 in the morning, it's not real busy. And I'd finally have to say, well, I gotta go, I'm gonna have to cheat on my logbook to get somewhere if I don't get out of here now. Kind of ha-ha, I gotta go. Christmas lights. Do they do that? I'm sure they do that in other countries, right? Guys from Europe, Australia, wherever. Do they do that a lot? You see a lot of people with Christmas lights out? Or is that just an American thing? I know Canadians do it. can't see it. Big dam down there to my right, going along the river. How many guys out there remember driving over the Hoover Dam into Nevada from Arizona? Remember back before 9/11, you drove right over the top of the dam. And then after 9/11, they stopped that. Well, you can't do it in a truck or like an RV or a bus. I think you can still do it in a car. And I really don't know what that's about, because if they're worried about you, blowing the dam up, you could pack a car full of explosives. But then they made you go down through Laughlin and all that. Now they've got a nice big bridge, which needed to happen anyway. Because that trip over the dam, yeah, that was cool and all, but I mean, it was just it was slow. You twist and turn your way down the hill, then over the dam, then you twist and turn your way back up the other side. And it was really tedious. So it's much faster now, I gotta say. Much faster. But it was an interesting drive over the dam. Yeah, 6% grade. That's not bad. Another nice big pull-off area. Got plenty of places to park along here if you had to. Probably get fuel. Well, I get fuel somewhere down on 80, obviously. Sutter. Maybe. I don't think I can make it to Laramie. I don't know. Somewhere where I'll have to take that stupid 30-minute break. never-ending curve here. Well, not much commentary in this video. I apologize. Of course, a lot of people like that. A lot of people just like to hear the truck, you know, and that's cool. I get it. It's therapeutic, right? Like listening to waves or something, or the wind blowing through trees, you know. Maybe I should have turned this into a live stream or something. I don't know. It would have been pretty boring. I can't necessarily read people's comments while I'm driving. Some lights off in the distance. That must be Alpine, Wyoming. Sure, once I get to Greeley, I'm sure I'll have another load at the beef plant Greeley going to South Sioux City, Iowa, or Nebraska again. to them. Every once in a while they'll deadhead me down to Holcomb, Kansas to pick something up, but usually I load at the beef plant there. And most of the time it's an overnight run, which is fine. Like the Wyoming line up here. Yep, Wyoming. See, there's a red light. Is that for the port entry up here? 1,200 people in Alpine. It's a metropolis. Yeah, looks like it's closed. Well, that's always nice. Yep, she's closed. Locked up. No one's home. See, you wouldn't want to be you. Judging by these piles of snow, they had quite a bit of snow through here at one time. I have to turn. I think. I'm gonna pull off real quick and make sure I'm right. But I think I have to turn. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I was right. Thought I was right, but it's been a minute since I've been through here. I wanted to check and make sure. If I go that way, it takes me due south, back down in toward Utah. That's right. Jackson Hole, 93 miles of Yellowstone, but I'm not going all the way to Yellowstone. Turn off on is that 191 south or something, and then that you run that down and it works your way down to I-80 down there to Rock Springs. it's a beautiful drive in the daytime. Like I said, it's been so many years I've been through there, I don't remember. There's a Snake River again. They don't call it the Snake River for nothing. As soon as we got into Wyoming, we started seeing traffic. Boring at night, I know, especially on a night like this where it's so dark. Be a good place to hit a deer or an elk or a moose. really nice this time of year because this is off season, being winter. Of the steering wheel there that comes up just rattles. I gotta hit it every once in a while. I guess I'll probably title this video, I don't know, not much commentary. Like I said, some people like it. I have some people tell me they like to just hear the truck, which I don't blame them. It's a lot better hearing the truck than hearing me run my head. Anybody get bored with these videos, you can go back. I've got videos from Alaska, got videos when I was even further back than that, when I was driving in the oil field. Junction, 13 miles. That's where we turn. That's where we get up to 191. I'll tell you what, it was another one of those breaks where I might have slept 4 hours maybe, and the rest of the time I spent tossing and turning and trying to go back to sleep. That gets old after a while, especially when it happens 4 or 5 times in a row. videos sometimes like this is, you know, anybody's been driving for any amount of time will tell you your brain starts overworking when you're sitting here driving, and you will think of everything that's ever pissed you off for the past 40 years. Everybody that's ever done anything to you, or anything you feel guilty about that you've done to other people, or just whatever. Your mind decides to drag up because it's bored. So when I'm doing these videos, even when I'm not talking, I'm still concentrating on the fact that I know I've got a video going. That helps. But of course, video can't go on forever. And you can listen to music and stuff, that helps to a point, but then sometimes you'll listen to a certain song and that reminds you of something that happened 20 years ago or something, and whatever. You're back into that mode again, you know. So it's whatever. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know. Summertime, this road's really busy with people going to Yellowstone and Grand Tetons and Jackson Hole, and well, Jackson Hole in the winter is probably busy too with the ski resorts. Let the video run till we get to Hoback Junction at least. Hoback Junction. I could make a joke about that, but I'll leave it alone. I'm a little leery about flashing my lights at them sometimes because you never know. Some of these dim lights on some of these vehicles are so bright, you think they have the bright lights on and they don't. I used to have well, when I worked here before, there was a truck we had really, really bright dim lights, and had those orb lights, and I was constantly, all night, people would be flashing me. I got to where I almost hated driving at night. And then I have to flash my bright lights to show them, nope, they get brighter. Dang, here comes another vehicle. Hey, ever since we got in Wyoming, we got more traffic. big moose lights on your truck like in Alaska. I always get leery that some wildlife's going to jump out in front of me out here, places like this. It's like a nice quiet spot to park and sleep. I like stopping at these little places way out in the middle of nowhere like this. You know, I got food and everything I need in the truck. Usually pretty quiet, especially at night. Look at the devil. Watch for wildlife. That sign flashing says. Cop. See red and blue lights. Got somebody pulled over. Yep. Wyoming's finest is on the job. Even out here in the middle of nowhere. I saw a video yesterday of a Warner truck. I guess he ended up on that road they call the Tail of the Dragon there in, was it Tennessee, North Carolina, somewhere over there. Some little road that twists and turns through the hills. I guess a lot of people like to, you know, drive their cars, ride their motorcycles on it. It's not made for trucks. I've never been on it. I don't do the East Coast much. I don't do the East Coast at all with this company. So, but apparently there's all kinds of signs saying no trucks. There's really, from what I understand, from people said, there's really no excuse to not know that you're not supposed to be on that road with a truck. Now the guy made it. Somebody was in a car was videoing him. The Warner driver made it. But there toward the end, I guess a cop pulled him over. I guess the cop saw him. But he did make it through there. And I'll give him credit, give him his props. You can say he's an idiot for going past all the signs that say no trucks, and maybe so, but... Or maybe he just wanted to run the Tail of the Dragon in an 18-wheeler, man. Maybe he thought, you know, that would be cool. I don't know. He dropped off in a ditch a couple of times, but I mean, it's not a deep ditch. Just, you know, he's back of his trailer when he'd go around a switchback. But he did make it. I got to give him his props on that one. got going on up here? Is this Hoback Junction? Yeah, look at all these highway signs. 26, 89, 191, 189. We're going to go south on 191 and 189. You're in the roundabout. Well, the roundabout, as my Canadian friends would call it. Like they've pre-treated this road. They must be expecting some weather coming in. Game 4, looking clear that way. I came in on 26. He said there's a bunch of elk up here. The volume on this thing's pretty low. I need an external speaker. So let's see. We'll take it easy. You can see the lines on there where they've pre-treated the road. They did the same thing at the house. They must be expecting some weather. Yep, there's one. God dang it, there they are. Yep, there they were. And you can't see them till you're on top of them. Woo, dodge that bullet. I don't know if you have a radio in that thing, but there's a bunch of elk right up there in front of you. There's a tow truck. I thought he might have had a CB in there, but maybe not. I was afraid of that. These back roads overnight. Oh, there's a whole bunch more. Oh, crap. Okay, guys, let's not get crazy. That's some big ones, too. That one's just going to stand there. Well, Well, I'm glad I left the video running. Got to see a few elk. Hopefully that's all we see. I've got a herd bumper on the front of this thing, but it's not a real big one. It's not one of those big cages, you know. They're okay for like deer and such, but you get one of these big elks, probably just push it right into the grill. Yeah, that's what the guy was saying. It's a bunch of elk. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and end this video. Looks like we're past that. Of course, as soon as I do, I'll probably run up on a moose or something. But video's gone on long enough, and I know it's been pretty boring. But I appreciate you watching. I'll try to make the next one a little more interesting. Not that I want to hit anything, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be more interesting. Maybe I'll do another one before I get to Greeley. I don't know. We'll see. But I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.